I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the iRacing Silver Crown Cup, coming to you from Homestead-Miami Speedway down there in the great state of Florida. And quite frankly, looking forward to this show in a pretty big way here. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, here on Monday nights by Mr. Patrick Byrne. And this place is wildly fast. Sam Hornish holds the track record here, set in an Indy car when they used to run those around this place in the, I guess, crap wagon-ish era, the IRO3, 24.7 seconds. This place, like we said, it is going to be very, very quick tonight, and we have a very good championship battle going on here as well. We'll bring up the championship point standings for you. Thomas Lewandowski holding a fairly slim lead over James Watson on the strength of a couple of good runs over the last few weeks. Watson now up into position number 2. Josh Batista, Brandon Buchberger, and Derek Love completing the top 5 in the point standings as we get ready to roll off on week number 5. I am big time, like I said, big time looking forward to this one here. Larry Pace is out on the racetrack for qualifications. Let's take a look and bring Larry up here. We'll get the graphics fired up for you as well, so you can see where your favorite is in qualifications. And Pace goes top of the board. Quick time, 30.342 seconds. Brandon Buchberger second quick, only 75 thousandths back. Quarter of a second back was Zach Evans. Now Vic Aldrich sliding up into position number 3. James Watson on lap 1 moves himself into the 3rd position on the board. Lap times are going to come in very, very quickly here. Not a lot of incentive for these guys to hang out and wait out any change in track conditions here in the practice session. Lap number 2 on the board for Larry Pace is just a tick slower. Brandon Buchberger there in the number 4 Dean's Farms entry has just finished his run. He is going to be in position number 3 as we pick up Thomas Lewandowski, who's now moved into the 2nd position. We'll take a look now at Jeffrey Stanton heading off into turns number 1 and 2 on his second lap of his qualification run. Got to say a huge thank you to everybody that's tuned in here on YouTube tonight. Give us a shout in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, what you're hanging out, and maybe even tell us what we should try driving with the Rookie and D-Class License Challenge we're going to be starting on Wednesdays. I don't know if we go the oval route or if we go the road course route. A little bit of a bobble there for Stanton off at turn number 4. Lap number 2 for Jeffrey will be good enough for only 11th quick on the board. Pick up Josh Batista, who is working his 2nd qualification lap. First lap, 31.054. That will put him shotgun on this 15-car field. The Red Ream Rocket making its way off at turn number 4, down over the start-finish line. And he will be the final car to get a lap in here in qualifications. And Batista has a very, very good second lap. We'll give you the time on that one in just a moment here, but cars already getting out onto the racetrack, and it is just about time for us to go racing. We'll pick up the field here from a little bit further back anyway. We'll wait for some of our front runners to get out here on the grid, but While they're getting out on the grid, let's take a look at your starting lineup for tonight's iRacing Silver Crown Cup race. Well, let's see. First, got to refresh all our paint schemes here because got to make sure everybody get all the sponsor shout-outs done for these guys early on in this one. There we go. Now that looks all purdy-like. Starting on the front row for tonight's race, in the number one will be Canada's Larry Pace with a lap time of 30.342 seconds. Only 64 thousandths back. The Team Watson Racing setups. Martin Sports number 3 belonging to Thomas Lewandowski. Row number 2 tonight, the Dienst Farms number 4 of Brandon Buckberger alongside of the Team Watson Racing setups National Racing Network number 5 of James Watson. The car will be the 39 on the Speedway. Buckberger picking up his first win in over a calendar year. Broadcast win anyway, 1 week ago. Josh Batista in the red Ream Rocket lining up inside of row number 3. To his outside will be the number 2 Street Side Classics machine of Derek Love. Row 4 tonight will have the Dizzy V Designs T. Watson Racing setups number 14 of Vic Aldrich. And to his outside, North Carolina's Zach Evans in the Me-Fine T. Watson Racing setups number 10. Laura Gerhardt in the Kibu number 9 alongside of Zach Scott Nicky. In the Team Watson Racing setups, National Racing Network, ZAS Designs, number 12. The car will be the 44 on the Speedway. Matthias Swank out of Indiana alongside of the Napa Auto Parts, Rockville, North Carolina, number 6 of Jeffrey Stanton. Row number 7, the Spotify, number 11 of Joe Gautier, alongside of Brett Edwards in car number 13. Final row of the grid will have Lane Doyle out of the great state of Texas, piloting the number 15 machine, coming in about a half second back of your front runners here in qualifications. Field making their way off of turn number 4. Pace car going to make the hard left-hand turn. Larry Pace under control of the field. Green flag goes in the air. We are underway here in the Silver Crowns at Homestead. First lap very quickly in hooks, and it's going to be Larry Pace holding the early lead over Derek Love, Thomas Lewandowski, Brandon Buckberger, and James Watson all inside the top 5. Actually, Josh Batista up there as well. Side-by-side battle in the front. In fact, most of the field still side-by-side. A little bit of a slide wide for Lewandowski. And Pace going to continue to lead here. Is already putting lap number 3 up on the scoreboard here in this 67-lap race. Lewandowski now pushing high to the outside. D-Love puts the fastest lap of the race up. Brandon Buckberger going to slide to that outside lane, give a little bit of drafting help to Lewandowski as they head off to turn number 3. We'll see if Pace is going to get hung out, but now Buckberger slides back down to the inside, kind of hangs Derek Love up on the outside of the racetrack. James Watson not sure where he wants to go. Taking a look at the weather conditions, 78-degree ambient temperature, 108-degree track temperature under partly cloudy skies. That is a whole lot of temperature that these guys are going to build up in these tires, and Layton's for that matter, are going to build up in these tires. Very quickly, I think this is going to become a handling race, akin to sort of what we saw last week at Dover. Pre-race discussion, this was going to be the Thomas and Larry show out front. We're seeing that right now with Lewandowski as the race leader and starting to open up the gap a little bit over Pace. But you wonder, I mean, Derek Love talked about it in his post-race interview last week. Sometimes he'll try to do a little bit when doing tire safety. Like he's doing a little bit too much as we see Laura Gerhardt slide way down to the inside of the racetrack. He's going to fall back to position number 13, Gauthier and Stanton battling side by side, as are Zach Scott, Nicky, and Zach Evans. And they're going to have Matthias Swank right behind Brandon Buckberger, new fastest lap of the race. We continue with all 15 cars in a line on the lead lap. Back to what Derek Love was saying in the post-race interview, sometimes he feels like you can do too much tire saving and you let the guys out front pull up too much of a gap. And when that happens, there's just not time to catch back up, even if they do burn the tires off these cars. I was driving it a little bit in testing earlier this afternoon, I guess this evening, whatever. And it was interesting to feel how the car would change over the course of the run. Oh, as I think one up into the outside wall, that may be Jeffrey Stanton. He continues into the back of the field behind Joe Gauthier. Now his second package starting to battle heavily, losing sight of your race leaders. Sixth place, Josh Batista falling back to about 1 1/3 seconds behind. Fifth place, James Watson. Watson right at the tail end of that lead pack. Scott Nicky and Swag battling for 8 side by side. Scott Nicky's going to be able to clear him off of turn number 4. Things staying very, very tight here at the front of the field. Brandon Buckberger was maybe still on cloud 9 after the win last week. Zach Scott Nicky side by side for the 7th and 8th position. Laura Gerhardt, Matthias Swank side by side in the battle for 9th. A little bit of a bobble off of 4 that time for Aldrich. Laura Gerhardt not quite sure where to move on this one. Saying Jeffrey needs a good break. Yeah, I'll agree with that one. Jeffrey not getting much in the way of laps in practice here. They were getting ready for tonight's race. In fact, may have come in with absolutely no practice. Oh, we've got one up into the wall, and it's going to be Laura Gerhardt. That car very slow down the front straightaway. Take a look. Don't see a whole lot of damage on that race car. Outside wall for Jeffrey Stanton as they're 3 wide. Zach Evans down on the inside of the speedway. Oh my goodness. Jammed up Jelly. 1-2 that time. Stanton going to have to contend with Vic Aldrich. I tell you what, Stanton keeping the foot in it. That was not the good break. And by the way, that was Sinon he can thank for the commentator's curse there, not me. Now that I think we may have the Bizzle here I'll tell you what, man, this race has been kind of crazy here early on. Looking at the front, top 4 breaking away, kind of what you would expect out of Homestead. Big, wide, fast, and cars kind of everywhere.
Yeah, Homestead is an awesome track just because of the multi-groove racing it provides. It's got a little bit of banking down the bottom. It's got a lot of banking up at the top. You can be fast no matter where you run here. We're seeing all these guys sitting right about in the middle, but yeah, just a couple laps ago, saw them fanning out pretty far. Yeah,
this is the front of the field. They're behaving. James Watson and Josh Batista trying to catch back up to those lead 4 cars. And then we've got the cluster back here of race cars. Jeffrey Stanton looking outside as Zach Scott Nicky through 3 and 4. They're already starting to push a little bit, only 16 laps in here. Weather conditions are big, and even things that we've heard, what was really interesting to me was that the dynamic track surface has really impacted Homestead. If clouds move over, it cools off the racetrack and significantly changes the handling characteristics of these cars.
Yeah, once the racetrack cools down, the track's going to get tighter, and it's going to force these drivers to run a little bit higher, try and make the corners as wide as possible.
Sidon checking in saying it's most comparable to Atlanta before it got ruined after 97. 96. Jeffrey Bodine holds the track record at Atlanta Motor Speedway in qualifying. And he set it in 97. 197 miles per hour around the UK. Crazy speeds on the, I guess now, middle reconfigured Atlanta 2.0, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, because in 97 it was reprofiled to be a cookie cutter instead of an oval like this, right?
Correct. Went from a spectacular 1 mile oval layout, mile and a half, whatever it was, I guess it was a mile oval, and they made it a D-shaped cookie cutter, kind of Charlotte, Old Texas shape.
At that time, this racetrack was very flat, only what, 6 degrees of angle. It's like bigger New Hampshire. New Hampshire wasn't even built yet then. It was like a bigger Milwaukee.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess it would have been 96 that they reconfigured the original Homestead-Miami Speedway, which was a 1.5 mile long Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Right, it was a D-shape.
Well, it was a rectangle.
Not a rectangle.
And because of the low banking and how tight the corners had to be, it made for some absolutely horrific incidents. In fact, that was the layout where John Nemechek had his fatal accident. I think that was 97. They reconfigured it into pseudo-Milwaukee, and then they just started adding banking every handful of years. I'm surprised it's not like Winchester by this point.
I might actually like this track if they did that.
I don't know where your hatred for this place stems from.
There's no real hatred for it either. I love watching people race. I just hate driving this circuit. I can't seem to do it with any speed at all. I can run the bottom and burn my tires off, or I can run the top and hit the wall. I am terrible at this racetrack.
By the way, speaking of terrible driving, autumn split D-Class and rookie action coming to you on Wednesday night. Broadcast will start at 8, and it'll go until I get angry. I don't know. Should we let the people decide? They decided they wanted to see it. Should we run Formula V's and the Ray 1600? Or should we go like tour mods or something? I guess something on the oval side.
Tour mods might be a little more fun, but you aren't very great either to be or Formula Ford, and it might be fun just watching you getting frustrated.
That is correct. So I gotta say, after a long enough time frame, the banking will be comparable to the board tracks. That would be awesome. We're gonna run 70 degrees of banking like the old Altoona Speedway.
Why not just bank it in like one big kind of swooping bank up to like full 90 degrees? You're getting going fast enough to get around full 90 degrees. It's pretty good.
Yeah. You know what track we need a rebuild of? Maybe less Neffy, but Langhorne Speedway. an almost pure oval that had basically no straightaway to it. Mile long, not a lot of banking, and just crazy speeds. The dirt guys never got straight. They were just sideways on the fire curve sliding around.
I'm looking at a picture of the map. It's a circle.
Yeah, that's why they called it the big left turn. That was one of its nicknames.
Pucalo, I'm seeing, is another one.
Pucalo, yes, that's because the earth was soft, basically kind of inside of turn one, and you would just kind of fall into this hole and it would make noise go up. It also was called the track that ate heroes.
I think I was reading, this track is second only to Indianapolis in the number of drivers it's killed.
Yeah, that is correct. Actually, my grandfather was the fire chief there for several years. Well, it was in his local, he was the department chief of, so they made him department of the chief of the Speedway. And if somebody wasn't an ambulance, it was a hearse that they used as an ambulance. If the car carrying the driver made a left-hand turn on the road, they were going to Delaware Valley Hospital, which was right up the road. If they made a right, they were going to Doherty Funeral Home that was just down the road. And a lot of cars made right-hand turns out of that road. Well, we'll turn to some positivity here. Back to the front of the racetrack. These top three have once again just left Derek Love, which is surprising. I guess once you fall out of draft range, maybe you're going to have you're just not going to be able to keep up with them. But Larry Pace and Thomas Lewandowski doing what we expected in this when everybody was saying it was those two guys that were going to be running away with it. Maybe a little bit surprised to see Brandon Buckberger up here, though.
Not all that surprised. He's always been quick in these cars, especially in bigger tracks, and being right up there, he might be able to get a win here tonight. Maybe I'm cursing him out a little too early, but...
Well, he got one last week at Dover. He broke his year-long winless streak. So we'll see if he can go back to back. And, I mean, you say Buckberger is pretty quick. He is a 10-time iRacing champion in these cars. So, not exactly a slouch. Talking about Langhorne Speedway, sign-on checking in saying, NASCAR 2003 cake tin.
Yes.
We had so many great racetracks here in the Northeast. Trenton Speedway as well. A kidney bean-shaped oval. A true bean oval with a right-hand turn in it. Click, 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 click. And houses that bordered the back straightaway. Gosh, that ran until 1980, I guess? Something like that, 81?
I can't find the list of the deadliest racetracks.
Well, I think if it's not Indianapolis Nürburgring, it's the other way around. But then Langhorne is very high up on that list as well.
I don't think Nürburgring would be that high up either. Nürburgring, it's the walls are real close to the track. There's a lot of high-speed sections. It's a lot of just kind of brushing the wall incidents. There's not a lot of spots to get to that. Like Le Mans, I would think of as one of them. Maybe, absolutely.
Yes. Sliding a little bit back in the pack here. James Watson has fallen back into the grip. Matthias Swank, Jeffrey Stanton, Josh Batista. We're going to have 5th through 12th all lined up here together.
I was wrong. Nürburgring is number 2 on the list.
See, I know my racing stuff a little, allegedly.
Let's go. Langhorne doesn't
Watson. There's Matthias Swipe to the outside. Man alive. Tight battle there. But you look right back behind. There's Josh Batista, a little bit of damage on the right front of that Red Reef Rocket. Oh man, Jeffrey Stanton giving the bump trap to Watson down the straightaway. That doesn't make you nervous in these cars at all. If there was somebody I would want to do it, it would probably be Jeffrey Stanton, though. One of the longest termed and best drivers in this car.
Yeah, anything open wheel he is good at. I've seen him be good at things with wings on him. He's even better at stuff without him. You see him up top all the time with Silver Crown and Swank.
Seeing Swank getting cleared of Watson, and now Stanton, who was giving the shove to Swank into turn number 1, but here comes Watson. Oh man, that car is so twitchy for James Watson right now. Getting absolutely swallowed up right now. 3 wide back behind them. They thought about taking him 4 wide at the exit of turn number 2 that last time by. So Sinon is checking in with some info for us here. He says Nürburgring would be really high because of track days. That's what my kind of thought was too. Also saying Charade in France would probably be kind of high, but that wasn't operating for that long. Like Spa and was it Rouen and some of those, the really old circuits, I would think would also be high on the list just because they operated forever. Oh, Zach Scott Nicky sliding right up in front of Josh Batista. Gets the shove down to the inside. Now Scott Nicky trying to hold off Fred Edwards. And everybody's still on the racetrack. All 15 cars and all on the lead lap. Joe Gauthier and Laura Gerhardt are about half a track or so behind the race leaders. Oh, it's Batista again up into the outside wall. I love the fact that going through that quarter, we just saw, oh, it's Stanton hard up into the outside wall. That car went for a huge ride, and it will not bring out a caution flag either. He flipped and got cleared down to the inside.
Oh, man.
Down onto the apron. Let's take a look at this one here on the NRN replay. Stanton got to stay out on the racetrack. A little bit of a contact with Matthias Swipe.
I thought this was USAC. Shouldn't the caution go out as soon as someone gets up and over?
Well, it is not. This is not technically a USAC series anymore. But now your top 3 are rapidly closing in on Stanton to put him a lap down. Sinon says, looks like he got hit with a green turtle shell. That is about right. Now we're going to be down to 26 laps to go in a race that has gone clean and green this entire way, I say, knocking on wood. We'll slide back to the mess back here. Fred Edwards, Zach Scott Nicky side by side. James Watson trying to fall into the toe behind Matthias Swipe. Man alive, it looks like Watson has an absolute handful right now. Although I would imagine, I guess everybody is kind of in handful territory here. Thomas Lewandowski will claim the, whatever it is you want to call it, the award for most laps led tonight. He has led 40 consecutive laps after Larry Pace led the first 2. Take a look at your most positions gained. It's going to be Matthias Swank, Brett Edwards up 4 apiece, Lane Doyle, up 6. Lane Doyle up 4 now. Next got Nicky up 3, Derek Love up 2. The battle for the Hard Charger Award, but D-Love, I would imagine.
Can we call this group here the and then I guess Derek Love has his own breakaway, and you got the breakaway up front.
That is exactly right. You have the leaders, and then you have the peloton. What's really interesting is Larry Pace at the front of the field has just not attempted a move yet on Thomas Lewandowski, and the same goes for Brandon Buckberger. Their 5-lap averages are within 6 1,000ths of each other, and their 50-lap averages are within 7 1,000ths of each other. I'm kind of getting this feeling like what we saw a week ago for Brandon Buckberger. He's just sitting back there, biding his time and just waiting. I don't have to run quick. I can run half throttle through the corners. You just have to stay with them, and then you're going to give yourself a shot to run, and really be quick later in the race.
Last thing these 3 guys want to see is a caution coming out. It's going to bring a whole bunch of really fast cars back up in line with them.
Yeah, we talked about that with Derek Love last week. And just his thing was you kind of need the caution at some point. And these guys back here are definitely trying to. Jeffrey Stanton getting up into the wall, a little bit surprised that that did not bring out the caution
flag. If that doesn't bring out a caution, nothing will.
Well, yeah, we've seen that a little bit here up recently. It just seems like the caution detection has been turned down a little bit. Almost like iRacing is giving cars time to get off onto the apron before the caution comes out really, really quickly.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with Em McCullen on Saturday. I happened to be up in upstate New York, and she was telling me how it's set up like if there's 6x or 8x that happen within like a 2 or 3 second period, that automatically flags the caution. But other than that, yeah, it's really, really not sensitive anymore, which is great because I kind of got sick of seeing debris cautions in the NIS series.
Yeah, you would get a lot of iffy, I would say, caution flags. Even in the real world, would they have thrown a caution there? You would have waited to hear a spotter say there's debris after the contact. That was iRacing almost too quick on the trigger. I kind of prefer that leave them go and let them get clear because there is not the real world danger factors that you have to consider. You don't have to worry about a stray piece of, is that a hot dog wrapper or is that a piece of something? Man, let them race. Maybe not totally enduro style, but we don't need minute-long caution laps here at Homestead.
I hope we can see one day with the new damage model, like if you have a tire or, your front bumper comes off and it's hanging in the middle of the track, yeah, a debris caution for that might be kind of neat. Definitely the way it was where you'd have a cone get thrown up or like a spark would hit the track and pull a caution, that was fucking awful.
They're starting to get a little bit racy here at the front. Pace seems like he may have, more pace than Lewandowski, but we're not really seeing it either. He's having to go wide through 1 and 2. And one of the things the drivers were talking about in the pre-race also was the fact that this racetrack drives differently at each end. It's almost like Indianapolis in that respect. Turns 3 and 4, significantly looser driving than turns 1 and 2.
And they're exactly equal corners. Same thing with Indianapolis. It's just a matter of how's the sun hitting it today and what's the cloud cover like. I mean, unless you've been to one of these tracks in person, it's impossible to conceive how big they are and how much weather can change from what I can know. If you've gone to a baseball game, you've probably seen it where you're sitting on the first base side and everyone over on the third base side is getting pouring rain on. and you're sitting there, it's still sunny and dry. At a racetrack, you could probably fit 4 or 5 major league stadiums in the infield, if not more.
Yeah, it is. Especially the experience is really wild up at Pocono because you're about 1.5 miles away to 2 miles away from turn 2 when you're in the press box. So you talk about how little a shift in weather patterns can make a difference, whether you get clouds or rain or where the rain snow line moves in a winter storm. You'll see that at the racetrack, and it is the craziest thing. We're following along with the leaders here because this is the best battle on the racetrack right now. The guy's a little bit back behind that second to peloton, to use Bizzle's word. They're all still packed up and tight with each other. I'm just wondering when we're going to see the move here out of the race leaders.
Peloton's not my word. It's been in the dictionary for a while.
I know, but you used a big word, so I'll give you credit for it. It doesn't happen often.
Oh, I use big words all the time. They're just too big for your ears, Steve.
Yeah. I'm going to hear things like that on Wednesday night and wad up a Formula V into some poor guy.
That's right, I'm going to be spotting.
Spotting, crew chiefing. Among other things, America's worst crew chief will be hanging out with us, at least for a little bit on Wednesday nights.
Excuse me, sir, there's a car approaching your starboard side.
Oh, man, I thought Brett Edwards was about to try to stuff that 3 wide on Scott Dickey and Evans. Thought better of it. Oh, Zach Evans, hold on to it, brother. Wow. That car was fishtailing all the way through turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Now we're down to 10 laps to go, and there is a possibility of overtime. One attempt at a green-white checkered finish should there be a caution flag late in the race. Sign on checking in saying America's funniest crew chiefs. Yeah, I can see this guy.
Oh, we got to bring Bob Saget back from the dead. Have him jump in with us, too. We could make it a TV show called America's Funniest Home Crew Chiefs.
Yeah, Larry Pace for the race lead inside of Thomas Lewandowski.
Showing why he's got that big #1 stamped on the hood. He's the top driver in the field, and Lewandowski's been top of the show plenty of times, but Pace is coming to get it back.
Yeah, to Larry Pace with an 85.58 I rating entering this race. Lewandowski's not bad either. A very nice 69.90 I rating. Brandon Buckberger over 6,000 as well. At this point, only one car out of the race, and it is Jeffrey Stanton. He has been on pit lane over 3 minutes now at this point. Everybody else is on the lead lap. Pace grabs the lead. Lewandowski looking back to the inside. Now, if you're Brandon Buckberger, do you wait for these guys to make a mistake with each other and try to capitalize? Or do you feel like you have to force the issue here as we're going to be down to 6 to go this time by?
Definitely stay there and put pressure on both of them, but I'm not sure with 6 laps to go, it's go time just yet. It's definitely go time, but it's not pressing yet. 3 laps to go, I'm going to start making progress getting in front of these guys.
They may catch the lap traffic by that point, as they are about half a second a lap faster. Oh, as Lewandowski almost slides up into Pace off of 4. wonder if you're kind of getting to the limits of the adjustments that you can make on these cars as well. You saw the big push out of Lewandowski there out of fourth. A little bit loose for Buckberger off the same corner. I mean, and they're driving basically the middle line of the racetrack at this point. This has got to be, I guess, a little bit of gut check time for these guys because it's not going to be easy to complete the pass.
No, it's going to take a set. Wild card, 1 in a million odds trying to get past this.
Lewandowski again, almost up into the outside wall. Big lift there for Buckberger entering 1 and 2. He's going to try to get that car down to the inside of the racetrack. Just nothing there yet on quarter exit. Lewandowski and Buckberger made contact 1 week ago at Dover. I think it was Lewandowski and Buckberger that made contact off it too. The roles are reversed though. It was Larry Pace that did the leading last time, and now it's Lewandowski up front for almost the entirety of this race as the white flag is out and there's 1 lap to go. Buckberger down to the inside. He's going to try to get Lewandowski through 1 and 2.
All you got to do is do it again. Oh, Lewandowski's going to come back.
Lewandowski pulls back to the inside as Joe Gautier goes a lap down. Off of turn number 4. It's going to be checkered flag this time. Oh, Buckberger. Lewandowski, who's it going to be for second? It's Brandon Buckberger. Larry Pace gets the win here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Derek Love just now crossing the line. Brett Edwards up into the 5th position over James Watson and Matthias Swank. And the entirety of the field has crossed the line now, so let's take a look and show you your race results. Larry Pace by 0.2 over Brandon Buckberger. Thomas Lewandowski comes home 3rd. Gosh, what is that? 16 thousandths separating those two at the line. And then a huge gap back to Derek Love in 4th, followed by Brett Edwards, James Watson, Matthias Swank, Zach Evans, Zach Scott Nicky, and Josh Batista. Page 2 of the leaderboard will have Lane Doyle, Vic Aldrich, Laura Gerhardt, Joe Gautier, and Jeffrey Stanton. In a race that took 35 minutes and 2 seconds to complete. Pretty impressive out of these guys going green to checkered at what is, quite frankly, a fairly difficult racetrack. So we'll get ourselves ready for our Victory Lane interviews here tonight. And let's see. Well, we have our 2nd place finisher ready to go here. So let's bring Brandon Buckberger up into the booth with us. And Brandon, congratulations. Not quite able to make it back-to-back wins, but a hard-fought battle there with Thomas at the end of the night. It seemed like the car was starting to go away handling-wise for all 3 of you at the front late in the race. Was it just one of those deals that there was just no tire left to make a passing attempt with it and really make a charge for the lead?
Yeah, I burned the right rear off of it, and right when I got by Thomas, I looked at the replay. I was smoking the right rear, but yeah, there was no tires left, and pretty much all 3 of us were the same, and then Thomas and Larry were just a little bit better off, so I was just trying to see what I could do here, but great run, man. I'm happy with that. 2nd place. That's $10 going to Driven to Save Lives. So that's awesome. I'm glad to start getting these podiums racked up. I'm happy, man. It was a good run.
Yeah, it was a very good run, and quite frankly, you're talking about the money that you're putting up here. I think it's up to $65 now this season. You said if we get to $100, maybe throw something a little special in here. We'll get to that one later in the season, but now is a kind of looking ahead for where you guys go from here. Short track at Irwindale next week, followed by Phoenix, followed by another short track at Kern. It seems like there's a lot of opportunities to either get things very right or very wrong when it comes to setup and how you're going to drive these cars over the next handful of weeks.
Yeah, Irwindale's driver's track, so is Phoenix. Kern's driver's track, Rockingham's. They're all driver tracks. We've got Richmond, Kentucky, Pocono. These are tracks where you need to learn how to drive these places to be good, but it'll be interesting. I don't think I'll be very good at Irwindale or Kern, but I got a couple circled here that I think I can get another win or two here before the end of the year. And if we hit over 100, there'll be something special. I might double it or something. We'll see what we do here.
Well, there we go. We'll see how this all shakes out here over the next, 7 weeks that we have left in the season. But Brandon, congratulations once again on another podium finish here in the Sprint Car Cup Officials. And before we let you go, do all the big sponsor plugs and shout outs here.
Yeah, thanks to Dean's Farm, all the boys watching. Let's see, Bob, Scotty, Nate, Swayze, and then I forgot to mention HD Rockers last week. I told you I forgot one, so I forgot them. So they're on the car. I forgot about them. So want to put a shout out to them. And JT, he always buys us a round or two when we're out there, so I appreciate it. And appreciate you guys doing the broadcast. And I want to say good win, Larry. That was a good run.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us here. And now we'll pick up our third place finisher here tonight, Mr. Thomas Lewandowski. And I'll tell you what, that car looked like it was getting almost evil handling with the push off of turn number 4. How difficult was that car to keep underneath you over the last handful of laps?
Kind of lost the right front at the end there, but I knew Larry was going to make a run for it at some point, and he was just, sitting back there, basically using my draft to just kind of back off and save tires that way. I mean, I knew it was going to be hard to, get at the end. I tried my best, tried to ring high in 3 and 4 and cost myself second, but I figured it was worth a shot.
And it seemed like it was a role reversal from 1 week ago where Larry kind of jumped out to the big lead and maybe used his stuff up a little bit. Does that thought ever cross your mind when you're leading piles of laps like you did tonight and just going, hey, I'm just going to get out of line here and let these guys go for a minute?
Not really, because there's always a chance you get a caution or, all it takes is like one, mistake by Larry and he could lose my draft, and then the draft's broken, and then he's kind of screwed. So it's just one of those things where I knew I was kind of just being the rabbit, but I'm not about to pull over and just hope to get by later in the race. When the real racing starts.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, congratulations. It's another big podium finish here and a very, very good points night with a 37-23 SOF. Congratulations on it. And before we let you go here, do all the sponsor plugs and shout outs one more time for us.
I'll just shout out to you guys for, broadcasting these, and my buddies over to Drill Al, John, Larry, Marcus, Bob. So, thanks again, guys. And hope I catch you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Thomas. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. And now it's time to bring in our race winner, Mr. Larry Pace. Man, a fantastic drive tonight. At one point, I called it a role reversal. You jumped out to the big lead 1 week ago, and maybe it came back to bite you a little bit late. Ultimately, tonight, staying in Thomas's shadow for 58 laps. Did that give you just enough tire to be able to complete the pass there with a handful of laps to go?
I think it definitely helped riding behind Tom. There was a portion of the first bit of the race there where I was just kind of feeling the setup out. I didn't get a lot of practice with the race setup, and it was a little edgy. So I started on pole, but I was like, Tom, you just go ahead. I got to figure this out, and eased into it. And about halfway through the run, we broke away from everybody but Brandon, and I was like, I'll just keep pushing Tom. Maybe we'll have a 2-car breakaway, and then we can really put on a show at the end. But Brandon was strong and stayed with us, so I just kind of waited till about 15 to go to start exploring different lines, and then finally went for it, and it worked out. And yeah, it does seem like I had a bit of a tire advantage because of it.
Yeah, and something else that we noticed, the track temp up almost 110 degrees throughout most of the race. Did you guys notice that? We heard the dynamic track really affected things here. We didn't get any of the cloud cover or anything like that, but it was definitely hot. Were you having to search for grip at all late?
Yeah, I was really curious. We were running so close, I didn't want to experiment too much, but I was really curious what else the track had in it. And I ran really high in 1 and 2 a couple times, and it was actually pretty decent. And I was a little surprised by it pleasantly. And I figured with the hot track, we would be able to kind of search around. Homestead's usually good like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, a really fantastic drive tonight. Looking at the lap averages, it's just insane. I mean, for 20 plus laps in the 31.3s, it was really fun to watch you guys up front. Congratulations on the win here, Larry. And before we let you go, do any of the sponsor plugs and shout outs that you'd like to get in?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a shout out to the Drill Aisle, and of course Thomas Lewandowski for once again throwing me a setup. I think I'll probably only be running Rockingham, and that'd be it for me the rest of this season. So thanks again to Tom, everybody at the Drill Aisle, John, Marcus, Bob, all those guys, and to you as well. Once again, your guys' broadcast is top notch, and it really brings something to Monday nights.
Well, thank you much, sir. We really do appreciate the kind words from you. And man, I'll tell you what, Bizzle, you got in a little bit late here. You're handling some business on your end, but as always, the Silver Crown guys just put on an absolutely fantastic show here from Homestead. And now next week, we're going to head off and we're going to go basically short track racing for the rest of the month of January. Irwindale, the free layout of Phoenix, and then Kern County, or Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway, whatever it's called now. Man, just a lot going on here to process for these Silver Crown guys.
Yeah, we've seen our big hitters here on the big tracks all season long so far. I'm curious to see if we see some new contenders now that we're moving over to the short track side for a little bit, or if it's still going to be the same guys that have been on top that stay on top. I think that's going to be the storyline we're going to have to follow.
Yeah, and I completely agree with what Brandon said in his interview, where you're going to have to learn to drive these things. I can get away and I can turn laps at Auto Club, and I can turn a lot of laps at Homestead. It's a completely different ball of wax trying to chase these things around the short tracks because they just weren't designed for it. They ran, when this car was active, they still ran the regular Silver Crown car on pavement on those short tracks. So you didn't have all the aero bits and the extra weight and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. It's going to be really interesting to see what these guys do over the next 3 weeks. But first, we got more stuff to get to before we can head off to Irwindale next Monday night. Tomorrow night, it'll be the Sprint Car Cup for the iRacing officials, heading off to South Boston Speedway, round number 5 of 12 in their, 12-week season. That broadcast will kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. Wednesday night, 8 p.m., we're going bottom split racing. Fun, frivolity, maybe some cursing, and possibly a little bit of drinking while we're doing it. Or at least you may want to drink to get through watching whatever this dumpster fire is going to be. That will kick off Wednesday night, 8 p.m. I have no idea what I'm driving, where I'm driving it. Let us know in the comments what you want to see me run. Do we want to go ovals? Do we want to go road courses? The jumpy trucks, that is an option. Just don't ask me to do left-hand turns on dirt because it won't be a very long stream. Thursday night, the USF Pro Series, the PM18 cars, take their round 5 off to the Brands Hatch circuit over in England. Fantastic racetrack, great for the cars. Hopefully we get the participation to show up. And we're already getting ready for some TNT Shock Series return coming up in just a few weeks here in February as well. Don't want to miss any of it. With that, it's time for us to get the heck on out of here. Great show tonight. Thank you very much, Bizzle, for coming to hang out with us here. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of you that are tuning in at home. Thank you very much to our channel members and sponsors and super chatters. Man, we love you guys. We really appreciate it. For Patrick Byrne and everybody else here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.